Some big releases landing this year, and it is going to be gaming season soon. So let's talk about them. All right, let's just get the biggest one out of the way first. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming, and the entire planet has been holding its breath for it. Rockstar Games has confirmed November 19, 2026 as the release date after 2 delays pushed it from its original 2025 window, and industry insiders are saying this one is actually locked in. The setting is Leonida, a modern Florida-inspired open world expected to be 2 to 2.5 times larger than GTA 5's map. The game introduces 2 protagonists, Lucia and Jason, marking the first time in series history that a main female lead shares equal billing in the story. The first trailer alone shattered YouTube records, pulling 93 million views in 24 hours. That is not hype. That is a cultural event. GTA 5 has been running since 2013 and still has millions of active players, and Rockstar is finally, genuinely, actually ready to move on. What they are building with GTA 6 is reportedly the most expensive video game ever made. The expectations are astronomical. The pressure is insane. And honestly, based on what Rockstar has shown so far, it looks like they might actually clear that bar. This is the one that makes the whole industry pause. Insomniac Games already proved twice with Spider-Man that they understand how to build a superhero game with actual soul. Now, they are handing the keys to Logan, and the approach is completely different from anything they have made before. This is an M-rated, genuinely dark and violent game that does not hold back on what Wolverine actually is. A man with indestructible claws, a healing factor that makes him unkillable, and centuries of buried pain underneath all that rage. Liam McIntyre voices and motion captures the character. Combat footage has shown limbs flying and blood physics that push the violence to a level no previous Wolverine game ever committed to. The story follows Logan hunting for answers about his past in Madripoor, a location comic fans immediately recognize as significant. This is also confirmed as the first game in a planned X-Men trilogy from Insomniac, meaning the story groundwork here matters way beyond just this one entry. PS5 exclusive, September 15th. Bub. IO Interactive, the studio behind the modern Hitman trilogy, has been quietly building the most exciting James Bond game in years, and everything revealed is landing exactly right. This is not the Bond you already know. This is a 26-year-old Bond, fresh out of naval service, still making rookie mistakes, still figuring out who he is, before the tuxedo fits perfectly, before the one-liners come naturally. A mission goes wrong, a rogue agent needs to be stopped, and Bond finds himself working alongside a reluctant mentor named Greenway, while something far more dangerous unravels. M, Q, and Moneypenny are all present. The villain is played by Lenny Kravitz, which is a sentence that absolutely slaps. The theme song is by Lana Del Rey, produced by David Arnold. IO's expertise with stealth, multiple approach options, and social infiltration maps perfectly onto what a Bond game should feel like. Go loud or go completely silent. Charm your way past guards or take everyone out quietly. May 27th on PS5. This could be the Bond game fans wanted since GoldenEye. The developers who made Returnal, one of the most intense and atmospheric PS5 exclusives ever made, took everything they learned and pushed even further. Saros is not a Returnal sequel, but absolutely builds on that DNA of third-person roguelike action, a mysterious world that reveals itself slowly across multiple runs, and gameplay that rewards patience and skill. You are Arjun Devraj, voiced by Rahul Kohli, a soldier stranded on a lost colony called Carcosa, a planet under permanent eclipse where the environment shifts between each attempt. He is looking for someone he refuses to give up on, and the studio has designed this one to be more accessible than Returnal while preserving that same deeply addictive loop. Housemarque's DualSense integration builds directly on everything they discovered in Returnal, and on PS5 Pro, it targets near native 4K at 60 FPS. PlayStation exclusive, April 30th. This studio has earned every ounce of trust at this point. This game appeared at a PlayStation showcase and immediately stopped everyone mid-scroll. Chinese developer S-Game built something that looks like what you would get if a wuxia martial arts film and a high-budget action RPG had a very fast, very stylish child. The combat is built around fluid martial arts choreography. Sword techniques blend with magic in ways that look almost choreographed, every movement smooth and relentless, completely different in pace and feel from traditional Souls-like games. The world has a dark fantasy aesthetic. The boss encounters are massive and imposing, and the animations flow with a quality that signals enormous care went into every frame. PS5 and PC only, no Xbox version confirmed. It lands September 9th, exactly 6 days before Wolverine drops, which makes that single week of September 2026 quietly one of the most stacked gaming weeks in recent memory. This franchise has been asleep for over 20 years, and Capcom is finally waking it up, which for a huge chunk of the PlayStation community is genuinely big news. Onimusha defined samurai action gaming on the PS2 with its unique mechanic of absorbing demon souls mid-battle through the Oni Gauntlet. Way of the Sword brings back that fantasy through Musashi Miyamoto, the legendary real-world swordsman, in a dark supernatural version of Edo-era Kyoto, where the Genma underworld has spilled through. The setting alone, feudal Japan rendered with modern hardware, already looks extraordinary. Capcom has arguably never been better at making action games than they are right now. The same studio muscle behind Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, and Monster Hunter is being turned toward one of their greatest sleeping franchises. Longtime fans have been extraordinarily patient. The wait is nearly over. Konami bringing Silent Hill back has been one of the more unexpected and genuinely encouraging developments in horror gaming recently, and Townfall is the entry with the most intriguing creative team attached. No Code, the Scottish studio behind Stories Untold and Observation, is developing it, and that is a fascinating choice for this universe. No Code makes horror experiences that mess with perspective and expectation in ways most studios would not attempt, and that sensibility, applied to the Silent Hill world, could produce something disturbing in a way the franchise has not managed in a very long time. What has been shown follows a man trapped in an emergency services vehicle with only a radio for company, and whatever is communicating through that radio is deeply, profoundly wrong. Almost no gameplay details have been released, which, given that Silent Hill's greatest power has always been what it implies rather than what it shows, feels like exactly the right call. More reveals expected throughout 2026. Rebel Wolves, founded by developers who worked directly on The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, are building a dark fantasy RPG set in medieval Europe, where you play as Cohen, a young man caught between human and vampire, belonging fully to neither. The central mechanic is genuinely unlike anything done in an open-world RPG before. You have a limited number of daylight hours to spend before your vampire nature fully takes hold, meaning every decision about where to go and what to pursue carries real weight and consequence. The story involves saving his family from a powerful vampire lord, but the choices you make about how to use your power actively shape what kind of being you are becoming throughout the experience. From the people who helped build two of the greatest open-world stories in gaming history, this level of ambition feels credible rather than just stated. No firm date yet, but the momentum building around this one is growing fast. Lara Croft is coming back, and the subtitle alone signals that Crystal Dynamics is going somewhere ambitious. Atlantis is one of the most iconic antagonist organizations from the original classic era of Tomb Raider, and bringing that mythology into the modern continuity opens up enormous storytelling potential. The modern reboot trilogy built a compelling, grounded origin story across 3 games, and Legacy of Atlantis appears to take that version of Lara into bigger, more mythologically charged territory that bridges the 2 eras of the franchise. Full details and a reveal are still ahead, but the game is confirmed for 2026, and the Tomb Raider community has been hungry for what comes next since Shadow of the Tomb Raider left several threads open. Laura at full strength, in over-the-top mythological territory running on current-gen hardware, the pieces are in place for something special. One of gaming's most beloved RPG franchises is coming back, and this time it is on PlayStation as well as Xbox and PC, meaning the Fable audience is about to get significantly larger. Playground Games, the studio behind the Forza Horizon series, has been building a complete reimagining of Albion. Not a sequel or a traditional reboot, but a fresh take that carries the spirit of the originals into something built for modern hardware. The Fable franchise was famous for dark humor, moral choice systems with visible consequences, and a world that blended genuine warmth with genuine darkness in ways nothing else in the RPG space quite replicated. Playground's track record with open-world design, gorgeous, detailed, and alive, gives real reason to believe the world itself will be worth exploring before you even glance at a quest marker. A massive chunk of PlayStation players have never had the chance to experience Fable before. That is about to change. The first Lords of the Fallen relaunch in 2023 had a rough launch technically, which is the honest version of what happened. But the studio listened, fixed it, and the game found a genuinely passionate audience who appreciated its dual-world mechanic, shifting between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead in real time to solve puzzles, find secrets, and fight enemies that exist across both layers simultaneously. That concept was creative and underappreciated, and this sequel is being built with every lesson from the first game fully absorbed. The dark fantasy world, the Souls-like combat, and the dual realm system all return with direct improvements based on player feedback, and the developers have been explicit about wanting a cleaner, more polished experience from day one. For challenging action RPG fans who want something with a genuinely unique mechanic that no other game in the genre is doing, this sequel has the potential to deliver on everything the first game promised and did not always achieve.
The rumored Tomb Raider catalyst is shaping up to be a defining moment for the modern evolution of the franchise, and there's a clear sense that the developers are aiming to refine everything the reboot trilogy started. Instead of just repeating the survival-focused formula, this entry is expected to push Lara Croft into a more open, interconnected world, where exploration, traversal, and puzzle-solving feel more organic and less segmented. The emphasis appears to be on giving players greater freedom, whether that's approaching tombs in multiple ways, using the environment more dynamically, or blending stealth and combat more seamlessly. What makes this especially interesting is the focus on deeper narrative integration, where Lara's growth isn't just told through cutscenes, but reflected directly in gameplay systems and player choice. If executed well, this could finally bridge the gap between classic Tomb Raider's sense of discovery and the modern trilogy's cinematic intensity. For fans who want a more evolved adventure experience that respects the series' roots while pushing forward in meaningful ways, this has the potential to be one of the most important entries the franchise has seen in years.
The upcoming Marvel Tokon, Fighting Souls, is shaping up to be a bold reimagining of what a Marvel fighting game can look like, leaning heavily into stylized anime visuals and fast-paced team-based combat. Instead of traditional one-on-one fights, this game focuses on dynamic squad mechanics that encourage constant movement, synergy, and aggressive playstyles. What makes it stand out is how it blends flashy cinematic abilities with competitive depth, creating matches that feel both chaotic and skill-driven at the same time. The developers are clearly aiming to build something that appeals to both casual Marvel fans and hardcore fighting game players, and if the balance lands right, this could carve out a unique space in a genre dominated by more traditional systems. Directive 8020 represents a major step forward for cinematic horror games, taking the familiar choice-driven formula and placing it in a tense, isolated sci-fi setting. Instead of relying purely on jump scares, the game appears to focus on psychological tension, branching narratives, and high-stakes decisions where every choice can drastically alter the outcome.
The shift to a space environment introduces new layers of fear, including paranoia, isolation, and the unknown, which could elevate the storytelling beyond previous entries. If the writing, pacing, and player agency all come together effectively, this has the potential to be one of the most immersive narrative horror experiences in recent years. Scars of Kasmora looks set to expand on the emotional storytelling and beautiful world design that made the original so memorable, but with a noticeably darker tone and more complex gameplay systems. Rather than sticking to a straightforward action-adventure formula, this sequel is expected to deepen combat mechanics, introduce more challenging encounters, and offer a broader, more interconnected world to explore. The charm of its spirit companions remains a core element, but there's a clear push toward more mature themes and higher stakes. If executed well, this could transform Kena from a visually impressive experience into a truly standout action-adventure franchise. The next entry in the Control universe, often referred to as Control Resonant, is being built with a stronger focus on expanding both gameplay systems and the strange, interconnected world that fans loved. The original game was praised for its unique blend of telekinetic combat and surreal storytelling, but this sequel aims to go further by refining combat fluidity, deepening exploration, and making the narrative feel even more reactive to player actions. There's also emphasis on making the world feel more alive and less contained, potentially opening up new directions for the series. If Remedy can maintain its signature atmosphere while improving pacing and variety, this sequel could elevate the franchise to a whole new level.
The highly anticipated The Witcher 4 is positioned as a fresh start for the franchise, moving beyond Geralt's story and laying the foundation for a new saga built on modern technology. Rather than simply continuing what worked before, the developers are focusing on creating a more dynamic open world, where player choices have deeper, more lasting consequences. With the shift to a new engine and a new narrative direction, there's a clear intention to evolve both storytelling and gameplay systems significantly. For fans of deep RPGs, this could be a defining release that sets a new standard for the genre if it successfully delivers on its ambitious vision.
The long-rumored John Wick game has the potential to finally capture the fast, precise, and tactical combat style that defines the films, something previous adaptations have struggled to fully achieve. Instead of leaning into arcade-style action, expectations are centered around a more grounded, skill-based system where positioning, timing, and resource management matter just as much as raw aggression. If the developers manage to replicate the flow of combat seen in the movies, blending gunplay with close-quarters combat seamlessly, this could become one of the most satisfying action experiences for players who enjoy high-intensity gameplay. Although still largely speculative, Forza Horizon 6 is expected to push the open-world racing formula even further with a more detailed environment, improved physics, and a stronger sense of progression. The Horizon series is already known for its accessibility and vibrant world design, but this entry could focus on making the experience feel more immersive without sacrificing its pick-up-and-play nature. With advancements in graphics and world building, there's a real opportunity here to create one of the most visually impressive racing games to date. If innovation matches expectation, this could once again redefine what open-world racing games aim to achieve.